All right, everyone, welcome in. We are here for episode number 8 of Pick and Troll. I'm Jordan, come to you live around noon Eastern, here with Rex on this nice Tuesday college basketball slate. We do have a decent amount of games going on tonight. We're up over the 30 game mark, so you'd love to see that. We do have some decent ones that Rex and I will be discussing. Nice high profile matchup between Clemson, Virginia Tech. Maybe we'll do a quick 60 seconds on Minnesota, Illinois, just to give everyone a taste of that as well. Going to go ahead and tweet out the link here so we can get some users participating. And then we'll go ahead and talk about today's slate.
I don't know if it's just me or something I've been noticing. There's been a lot of bank threes so far this college season.
You're calling glass. Yeah.
I'm about it. I think someone had a terrible – it was in the Rutgers game last night. The one announcer said, I didn't know the bank stayed open this late in Newark or something as the call. And I was just like, wow, that was a bad one, man. Like, you tried. It didn't hit well. Just move on.
Oh, my God. Sweet. All right. Link has been tweeted out. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in today. Rex and I are going to break down the slate on today's episode. This is episode number 8 of Pick and Troll. As always, make sure you give us a follow on Twitter at breakdown_sports, BRKDWN. Instagram has been up and firing last few days. We are starting to post some of our articles via that as well, _breakdown. Do a search for us on Facebook, everyone's aunt's favorite social media site, The Breakdown. Just a quick search there. Give us a like, help us bump up those numbers on there. And lastly, as always, make sure to check out the website. We got a ton of new content up. NFL season's rolling through. We're just about at playoffs. We got some college football stuff. NBA is around the corner, and the fantasy content is flying over at breakdownsports.com. So make sure you jump over there, check out all that we have to offer, and let us know what you think. How are you doing today, Rex?
Good. Prepping for what's going to come tomorrow, but trying to survive the work week. But yeah, it is what it is. Birds got a W. There's some life again. Shouldn't be showing life, but we have life.
My God, you could still win the NFC East, right?
Yep. I kind of just want to finish ahead of the Giants right now. That's really all I want.
It's too bad the Jets aren't in the NFC East. I feel like they'd have a shot at it. But going ahead and kicking off today's episode. Last week, real solid week for Pick and Troll. I went 12-6 on my recommendations in my plays. Rex, do you know how you did?
7-3, but 7-4 in tweeted plays for the week. So picked up the L on stupid ass Northwestern.
Yeah, I went 14-8 on all my plays last week. Started off this week 0-1-1 with a miracle push, and then a real tough loss on the last second layup. So going to go ahead and get things started. Last night, very, very small slate. Only one baller to mention, LSU. Javonte Smart, he put up 25 points, only missed 4 shots. He missed 2 threes and 2 twos. He had 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals over Sam Houston. So real strong output there from Javonte Smart. There weren't a whole lot of noteworthy games last night. We did have, I suppose, an upset. Marquette pulled it out over Creighton, which is cool to see. So Marquette's really stringing together a nice resume this early in the season. So hopefully they're able to keep that rolling and see how they play down the stretch.
We're not salty about Marquette. The game against UCLA, they don't show up against, but they beat Whiskey and Creighton. So it is what it is. Thanks, Marquette, for that one.
Yeah, I know, right? Update on the model. Model has been running warm lately. Model's up to 184, 165, and 10. So we're sitting just under 53% against the spread. Multiple point edges are at a 55% clip. So we love to see that. 76, 62, and 2 on the early season. Rex, any thoughts or updates on the model's performance?
No, I usually have something with or something to go to here. I'll make sure I have a better one for this one. But the little tweak we made looks like it's moving in the right direction. We're starting to become closer on a decent amount of the games. I don't know what it is, but I think we had roughly 10 or 12 games we were within a point of the spread today. So kind of limited the slate unless we wanted to go against the model.
Yeah, and that's just how we weight everything. So we'll see how that plays out over this week. I think it's interesting to see that last night, when neither of us wanted anything to do with any of these games, model rolls to a 5-1 finish. So real small slate. There was very slim pickings, but the model was able to find some edges and count those wins, even though we didn't play any of them.
Yeah, I wanted to look at Rutgers, but it just seemed like everyone and their mom was on them last night. So that's
where I was at.
That kept me off there.
Yep, that's the same thought I had. I was even looking at it a little bit later once I saw that Geo Baker was warming up, and the number just wasn't where I wanted to be. If it was slightly bigger, I was willing to take it, but you never know how they're going to play. Maryland's a solid team. Maryland has a real good offense, so that was a fun game that we had there last night. Gonna go ahead and get it kicked off with picks right now. If anyone has any questions, any picks, any games they want us to take a look at, please go ahead and chime in the comments or tag us on Twitter, and we'll be sure to talk about that particular game. First one that I'm going to kick off is a solo play here. I'm going to be talking about the Stanford and Cal State University matchup. So this is a premier matchup out there on the West Coast. You have Stanford, who's a fringe ranked team. I think they've certainly cemented their place in the top 50. They've had a couple of tough losses, losing to Indiana and UNC, but at the same time, they were able to put it on Bama. So Stanford is laying 17 here. I was able to get it at even money. Market seems to be at 17, probably going to stick around there. I do have my projection from the model at minus 18. Stanford just has virtually every advantage here. Cal State Northridge is coming off a big win over Pepperdine, where Pepperdine was ice cold from the three. That's really what they do well. So Cal State Northridge was able to score in light of that. Stanford has one of the top defenses. I find that Cal State Northridge is really going to struggle with this matchup. They just don't have the talent necessary to really come out and show out against a team like Stanford. They have like maybe two guys who are plus players worthy of mention. TJ Starks is a junior, plays out of the guard position. Bart has him as about a 5 points above your average player. So that is good to see for Cal State Northridge. But I think that this is just a get right spot for Stanford. Blow them out by 20 plus points. They have virtually every advantage here. If you were to pull up the Haslam page, Eric Haslam's metrics, they literally have the green advantage color coding on every matchup except for free throw percentage. So Stanford should win by a bunch here. These are two fast-paced teams who like to move the ball, and I think that works in favor of the big spread for Stanford. Not going to dig into this one much more deeply. Going to turn it over to Rex, see if he has any thoughts about either Stanford's chances here or anything he likes about Cal State Northridge.
There's not much to like about Cal State Northridge. Their defense is pretty awful. And then that's where Stanford plays the best. They're ninth best defense in, according to Bart. The only thing is, caught a few Stanford games. Their offense just comes from De Silva and Davis. No one else or one other guy on their team has more than 10 shot attempts, so that's where maybe two, because the one guy likes to chuck three, Zaire Williams, but he's not hitting anything right now. So that's where the depth of Stanford was one thing that I liked coming in, and talked about them on College Game Breakers, but right now the depth isn't showing up. They had some tougher games so far. North Carolina A&T was their first time. They kind of got to steamroll someone and didn't play someone who's probably else in the top 50. So let's see if the steamrolling continues, because they won the last one by 30 plus. Cal State Northridge is technically a worse team than North Carolina A&T, but you could be splitting straws there. So with you getting the edge here on the model, this seems like a good one. I just didn't want to lay that much with Stanford.
Yeah, it's certainly a big number to be laying, but you have a top 50 team, no matter how you look at Stanford, against a bottom 50, bottom 75 team with Cal State Northridge. So hopefully Stanford goes in there, cruises to a nice, easy win, and we are able to cash this one. Cal State Northridge is really going to struggle to score. If they break 60, I would be certainly surprised. I know team total is sitting at, I think it was 63 when I looked. So if you are looking for team total angle, you like the Stanford defense, that is one that you could take is playing against the Cal State Northridge under.
Yes, sir. So I'll get into my first one that I have by myself. We talked about and alluded to how a bunch of the games at the spread right on the model. So I'm choosing to go one of them where I'm getting technically a 0.4 point edge here with Florida State. I'm laying the -8. There's one factor in there that brought it down a little bit, or we probably would have seen a 9 there. So that's where Florida State in this matchup, they just have size. Their smallest player they play is 6'5", and one thing that Georgia Tech has struggled with is rebounding. So it hasn't been anything too concerning, but this is the first time that Georgia Tech's playing, one, a competent team, two, a team that has size, and three, that's efficient on offense. Yeah, Georgia Tech's coming off 2 hot wins back-to-back against Nebraska ball and Kentucky, but neither of those teams are where they really want to be, and neither of those teams are offensive juggernauts. Florida State here, they've played a loaded schedule so far, have won each one of their games. They've won their past 24 or 25 home games. So I think this one is just laying where the number's at. How much do they win it by? And the size is just going to be the difference because Moses Wright is the best player with size on Georgia Tech. And past that, their size is much smaller. Jose Alvarado is one of their best players, and I think he might struggle with the size that they have to create. Florida State's defense is top 18 according to Bart, and this is where Georgia Tech, they haven't shown out anything too great on offense here, so this is where I just think they're just going to struggle. Hopefully Florida State can get hot from 3 because Georgia Tech can't defend that at all so far, and I just think there's too many bodies, and all of them being huge, it's just going to be the size is just going to overtake Georgia Tech here.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. This is going to be by far the toughest matchup that Georgia Tech is playing. I mean, I know they went against Kentucky, but at this point, what does anyone truly think of Kentucky? Certainly not the Anthony Davis Kentucky. So interesting to see how that team of Kentucky progresses down the stretch. But I like the angle here with Florida State. They are the superior talented team, and we know that they are going to certainly put up points. I think the physicality, as you mentioned, certainly plays in their favor, especially considering the absurd size advantages that they're going to have at the guard position. I think that's going to be a nightmare for Georgia State because not only is Scotty Barnes very tall, he's also incredibly athletic. So if you have 2 guards out there who are both stronger, faster, and taller, that's going to provide some mismatches there for that Georgia Tech defense. Georgia Tech, above average team. By no means are they like a trash team. I just don't think that they're going to be able to keep pace here with Florida State's offense, and what Florida State's able to do on defense should bode well to shut Georgia Tech down.
I was just nervous maybe about a little bit of a sleepy spot because Florida State's coming off of wins against IU and Florida. And now, but then it's in their first ACC game, so they definitely want to get the win in the column there. They definitely want to take it home, where it seems like Florida State, I think they're the favorite to win the ACC right now. I know that might be a little, people might say UNC, UVA, but I think Florida State is easily the top team right now in the ACC.
What about Clemson?
That game is going to be awesome because you're going to have dogs versus dog matchup there where they both are going to muck it up on defense. It's just going to be who scores, and this is where I would play it with Florida State because the size and the scoring ability, no one's going to be able to match up with that lineup when your point guard 6'9" technically and your shooting guard 6'5".
Yeah, no, good point there. So let's go ahead and actually jump right into that game, as I do have a pick on the Clemson Virginia Tech game. Virginia Tech is certainly the tout pick of the day. It seems like every tout is saying that this is going to be a letdown spot for Clemson and how great Virginia Tech is, but at the same time, Virginia Tech has a big win. I'm not going to downplay a win over Villanova, but Villanova's defense is by no means what Clemson is capable of on defense. When this opened at a pick last night, I was honestly shocked. I expected Clemson to be -1, -1.5, -2. And so I bet it. And then I woke up this morning and was flabbergasted at Clemson +2. So then getting 2 points, I played a half unit on Clemson. So I have a unit and a half on Clemson, a unit on pick, which is a terrible number, and then a half unit on the +2. Our projections make it Clemson as a slight favorite, about a half point to 1 point favorite. And I really like Clemson here. I think this is a good spot for them. Their offense is not great, but I think that what they're capable of doing on defense is going to be very challenging for Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a team that in various games has been very hot from three. I know they were hot from three against Villanova. That's how they were able to push them to the brink and ultimately win in overtime. But I just think that's an area where Clemson does well. They defend the perimeter very well, and overall their defense is very sound. They get a lot of steals per game. I think they're averaging 9-10 steals a game, and they catch a lot of their own boards. So you like to see that. I think that Clemson continues to perform well in this, but I think that this is certainly going to be a tough matchup for them. I don't think they're going to steamroll Virginia Tech, but if Virginia Tech goes cold from shooting, I think that Clemson will do well here. Clemson's offense is about a top 100 unit. It's nothing out of this world, but I think that they should be able to case with Virginia Tech pretty easily.
Yeah, this is one, just like you, I was extremely shocked about how that new number moved against them. I guess, I don't know, we've seen big money move numbers and then it completely not matter and the team still loses. Mm-hmm. It's a huge bounce back spot for Tech because they just got blown out by 20 on their home court against Penn State. So that's an angle maybe. They're all probably writing up saying, oh, they're going to bounce back. But their defense ended up looking terrible in that one. That was the biggest reason why they lost by 20 there. And if their defense plays anywhere near that level, because overall they have them as like a top 75 defense, if they play as terrible as they did against Penn State, Clemson isn't the strongest offensive team either. But if you're going to give a top 5 defense, just let their offense shoot over 60% or 50% from the field, you're going to end up losing that game, and especially covering that +2. Virginia Tech, their last 3 games, they've been extremely cold from 3. They're still jacking up over 20 attempts, and they've made 5, 4, and 6. So you just got to hope that they, over this 7-day break or however long break they've had, they've just been jacking up threes and then they get hot here. But everything just points to Clemson covering this number because Clemson can cover the 3. They're a top 5 defense for a reason. So we could see another 55-point game potentially from Tech.
Yep. Yeah, I think this is certainly going to be a low-scoring affair. Did you see what the total was in that game? I didn't even look.
It's going to be like it's easily under 128. It's probably like right around there.
128, that's what you're saying?
That's my guess off my head.
Let's see. 128.5. Nice call. Nice call.
I did have Bart predicted it 62 to 60. So that's where I kind of just used my head, but still a lot of options there.
Yep. Yeah, actually, line's moving back in favor of Clemson, back to a 1.5 now. So that seems like some people are starting to shift momentum towards Clemson. Like I said, I do like Clemson here. I have Clemson as a pick, and I have them +2 for a total of 1.5 units on Clemson.
All right. So that's a perfect way to get into our last play of the stream, and we share this one. So football team, they're up there. They're doing pretty awesome. So why not let's ride the wave and hope the basketball school can show up as well. So we're going to the Chants. We're going to back Coastal Carolina at +5. We are getting a nice edge on this one because the model has it at 4. And there's one factor, kind of like how the FSU game, that's carrying it up a little bit. So that's where with Coastal and Wofford, they're evenly matched teams. They don't play the same exact style by any means. But overall rankings, they're probably going to finish within 10 to 15 spots of each other come the end of the day. So that's where I know you said this one 5 points seems to be a little too much. Both of these teams are superior in offense than they are on defense, so we're definitely going to see points up here. So we just got to hope that we can run with it. Coastal, Wofford, they love their threes and playing slow. Coastal hates threes so far this season and playing fast, but Coastal, when they're shooting them, they're making them. So this is where Wofford, they're very similar to the way Virginia Tech plays. If they're going to get hot, then that's what's going to give Coastal an issue, because Coastal, I don't think they're going to have an issue coming back if they do end up falling behind a little bit. That was the one angle I was kind of looking into. It's just that Coastal size is the biggest question mark here. But thankfully, Wofford doesn't run much size either, because they like to play 4 out and 1 in. So that's where I think teams with size are going to be the ones that be able to beat up Coastal when you're kind of playing more towards their game. I think they're going to go there. And if Coastal can make this a fast tempo game, I think that just helps us. So who's going to be able to dictate the pace? Coastal is on the road, so they're going to have to try a little bit harder to make this a running game. But I'm just going to take the team here and just hope that they do not turn over the ball at all. And the last point is fading bad free throw shooting teams. Love that angle. Wofford's pretty bad down there. They haven't many attempts yet because they're only counting D1 stats, but they're shooting like roughly 55 to 60% from the line. So laying -5 with a team that we could be fouling to get to that 5 and you're missing your free throws, love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a Wofford team. You mentioned they like to jack them up, and they do, but they're not hitting a lot of them. They're only at a 30% clip right now in their 2 games, their 2 D1 games. Neither of these 2 schools have really Wofford's 2-2, but they've steamrolled 2 D2 teams. And Coastal Carolina, I think they've played only 1 D1 school. They played at North Carolina Central. And then they've steamrolled 3 D2 teams. So these are 2 high-powered offenses, but they do have very different styles. I think that the pace here with Coastal Carolina helps them if they do end up down a little bit, because they do run the ball. They're not afraid of running that at all. Coastal Carolina has been a slightly above average program over the last 5 years or so. Their coach has stuck around. He's slowly developed this program that they have there, and getting 5 points, like you mentioned, I think that's just a little too much. I think that these teams are more closely rated, and I like what you said, how you probably, by the end of the season, we probably see them within 10 spots of each other. This isn't Wofford of 2018, 2017, or whatever it is.
Because he's at B-Tech.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, now he's instituting that mentality over at Virginia Tech, and a team that in Virginia Tech that used to play extremely physical. They're starting to take more of that Wofford style of play. What's his name? Mike Young? Mike something?
Yes. Yep, Mike Young.
Thought so, yeah. I knew he was a Mike Young, Mike Rhodes, one of those type dudes. I like Coastal Carolina here. I think that the way these teams match up well, this is certainly a side to back the dog. I think laying 5 points here, you're going to be sweating this the entire time. So I don't think this is going to be a game that Wofford goes up, 12, 13 points, and Coastal Carolina needs to claw their way back into it. I don't see a lead in this game exceeding, 7, 8 points. I think that Coastal Carolina is able to play this one really close. And anytime that they do find themselves down, they're going to force those turnovers, make a quick bucket the other way, and then try to play defense, which they don't do extremely well. So both of us here back in Coastal Carolina, more of a numbers play for me, just thinking that the line is too big, and these teams are fairly they're similarly talented. And Rex broke down how Wofford likes to play and how Coastal Carolina is able to play to that strength. So that's all we got on that one.
Yeah, it's their biggest non-con game, and it's the second toughest team they're probably going to play all season. So Coastal, there might not be a live dog in the Sun Belt, because I think Georgia State takes that one. But
yeah,
if they can enter conference play undefeated, because they got Delaware State up next, I think they're the Jackets or something, the Mighty Jackets, who really stink. This is their best way to get there. So thought about playing them outright, but not going to fade Wofford on their home court yet.
Yeah, let's see how Coastal plays against some tougher competition before we immediately back them as dogs. This is by far their hardest matchup of the season, coming off 3 D2 games and then 1 against North Carolina Central. So those are our picks for today. We did not have a lot of them. Only other game that I will really mention and liking aside here is the St. Bonaventure versus, who are they playing? Akron. They're playing the Zips. I like St. Bonaventure, but you have 2 teams there playing their first D1 games. Akron played a D2 team. St. Bonaventure hasn't played at all. If this number were to get to 5, I would absolutely be backing the Bonnies. Right now, it's sitting at 5.5. I think that the St. Bonaventure offense, returning virtually all their production from last year, I think they're going to be a shockingly good offense this year. And if this number gets down to 5, you will certainly see me playing that number as my dogs slowly start to lose their minds behind me. Any other games that caught your eye or anything you want to touch on before we hop into our trolls?
Yes, sir. So make sure you check us out on Twitter at BRKDWN_sports. Vote in our Voice of the Crowd poll today because we do have Illinois versus Minnesota up there listed at 8. So this is the top matchup that neither of us have a bet on here. Our model kind of thinks this number's spot on. I just think this is an interesting matchup because Minnesota's 6-0. The Illini are 4-2. Beat Duke, but tough loss against Mizzou, but I think everyone's starting to wake up to finally realize who Mizzou is after they took down the Illini on their home court. So this is a nice bounce back spot for the Illini. Minnesota, I mean, they probably should have ended up losing that game to Boston College, but they were able to pull it out in overtime. So that was a solid by them. I just don't want to fade the Illini here. I just think 8 is a number that kind of seems spot on just because Minnesota isn't the bottom of the Big Ten. This is the first game there, but the Illini's defense being top 10, their offense being a top 25. Minnesota might just struggle to score, but we're going to see a fast-pushed game. So this is where if you had to force me to take it, I would have to lay the points here because I think it's too much, but I don't want to fade DeSumo and Kofi anytime soon. They're fun to back, but I don't know. When those two don't show up or if one of them has a rough game, that supporting cast hasn't shown they're consistent enough to pick those two up. So Underwood's squad is kind of reliant on DeSumo and Kofi both getting 15 a game to make sure they're covering an 8-point spread.
Yep, I agree. And this is a big spread to try and back Illinois because, like you said, if either of those two players go cold or, God forbid, an injury or anything like that, I think that Illinois, while they'll probably win this game regardless, I think that they would be very challenged to cover that 8 number.
Yes, sir. So let's get to trolling.
Yes, so we do have 2 trolls for today. First one I'm going to jump into is DePaul. I believe they're outside of the Patriot League and the Ivy League. I think they're the only team that has not been able to play a game. And that's because they just got shut down due to a COVID infection for the 3rd time. They have not played a single game. They had a COVID outbreak like a day or 2 before the season started. As they were about to be cleared to start scheduling games, they had another. Then they just had their 3rd. I think I saw it on Twitter last night. That's a bad look for DePaul. This is a team that last year going into conference play, everyone thought they were world beaters. Obviously, we saw what they did in conference play. They really showed who they are and that they are not that great of a program or that great of a team. But to be shut down 3 times without having been even able to take the course is a very bad look. I know infection rates are high in Illinois and they're high in Chicago, but you have Loyola doing just fine, Chicago State, UIC, Illinois. There's so many teams in and around the Chicago area who are able to maintain this. But DePaul, hanging out in Lincoln Park, they're going out to bars, they're having some fun. Seems to be not taking this quite as seriously.
With DePaul, especially with this Big East season, or with this season and how they're going to appoint who gets to March Madness, you need it to have a solid non-con, and you need to win those games. Usually the top 4 in the Big East. If you're good enough, you'll probably usually make it into the tourney. And now DePaul is going to be solely relying on finishing as a top 4 Big East team. And I just don't think that's in the picture whatsoever for them this year. So they kind of blew any outside chance they had, just thinking big picture for the program this year. So it's going to be interesting to see when they finally do come back, how motivated are they? It might not be much, it might be a little. So that's where this DePaul team just lock down, just get your head on your shoulders right and do it. But Butler, you have to give them a little bit of slack as well because they've only played one game. So it just seems like something out there. So, yep, DePaul don't need to spend too much time on, I don't know, maybe you'll finish in the top 100, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. The second troll that we have, so after getting high praises from us in our last episode, Nate Oates went out against Clemson and pissed down his leg. Couldn't do anything. They couldn't figure out how to get past that Clemson defense. They couldn't score. They couldn't stop Clemson's offense. Clemson scored, I think, like 85 points or something. Really not a good look. And then to top it off, Nate Oates went out, walked back everything he said about Coach K, said he put in a call to him, and I was very thankful, and he felt bad about what he said to Coach K. Bad luck. Don't get on your horse and start beating your chest. I know I just threw 2 different references out there, and I should probably just have picked one, but Nate Oates needs to get off his high horse where he's beating that high horse chest. Going out, holding a press conference to kind of throw shade at Coach K was awesome. We all loved it. But to then immediately walk it back within 24 hours after getting the doors blown off by Clemson in a neutral court game, not a good look.
Do you think he felt pressure from the university, or do you think that was just him walking it back?
I never thought of that. Yeah, I think they're telling him, like, hey man, we're a basketball school, we're a football school. We shouldn't be throwing these type of statements out there. You should kind of keep your head down a little bit.
I don't know. I'm just thinking it's more of the university told him, because I don't think Oates would have done that on his own. I think he would have stuck up to it enough. And I mean, if you make an enemy in K, it happens. I know you shouldn't be doing that in the college basketball ranks. You would be respect. But if K's not going to like him because of it, then K's a little soft there. But we already think that's true. So Oates, get your squad playing. We said the most clinical thing would be to get blown out by the team that always beats Duke, and that's what Clemson did to you guys. Stay out of the media if you're going to lay eggs like that, because it just gets it that much worse, which then I think said, all right, the university said, the way to get the loss off here, apologize. I'll make us forget about that L real quick.
Yeah, and then Bama's actually back in action tonight against Furman. And this is another one. I think you said this is a tout play of the week. Furman being backed by people all over Twitter.
Yeah, or they were last week. I haven't seen many Furman this week because they're not getting the 8 or that they got with Cincy or the 7. Since it's only at 6, I think they're all scared because I'm pretty sure Cincy ended up covering that game. Now Furman, they're going to kill teams in their conference. I was hoping that they could make some noise out of non-con. This is their time to do it. Alabama team, Furman I wanted to delay there, but 6 isn't enough there because we have it right at 6 in the model.
Yep, and I agree. I think that Alabama, this is certainly a get-right spot for them. They should hopefully put it on Furman before. I think they're close to getting into. They start SEC next Tuesday. It looks like is when they're actually full-time conference-only play. So they've got a few more games. They do have a really tough matchup this weekend against Western Kentucky. So I think this is their spot to get the offense back rolling, so that they're able to go out and have a good fight against Western Kentucky, because we've seen what Western Kentucky does when they're able to get physical with teams and control the boards.
Yep, not saying roll tide today.
Nope, but that's all we got for today's show. Looks like I don't have anything on the Twitter machine coming into us. This is a little bit of a quicker episode. We don't have much else to talk about here. You got any final comments, Rick, before I sign off?
Nope. Let's just hope St. Joe's basketball finally gets back soon because we were given it. We weren't the ones that. So thanks, Gonzaga. I haven't had my squad to watch all season so far.
Oh, you guys haven't played a game yet?
We
Or you
played
just played one?
Gonzaga and Auburn, and then we haven't played anything else because of it.
Yeah. Yep. I hate to see that. Very tough situation out there for
Kansas.
all the teams. But that's all we got for today. So just a quick recap of our picks. I am backing Clemson. I would recommend it at the +2. Don't be silly and go out there and search for a pick. Just take the 2, take the 1.5. I like Clemson in this game against Virginia Tech. I'm laying just a couple points with Stanford, -17 over Cal State Northridge. And then we are both on Coastal Carolina +5 at -105 versus Wofford. What do you got?
Yep, go Shant +5, and then FSU -8.
Excellent. So that's all for today's show of Pick and Troll. This was episode number 8. We probably won't be back. Let me take a quick look at these upcoming slates. I might be back for a solo stream tomorrow if Rex is not able to swing it, as he's a little bit busier with work. But we do have some good matchups coming to you on Friday's fairly decent. We'll definitely be back for Saturday. Saturday has the good games. You got Zaga, Iowa, North Carolina, Ohio State, Virginia, Villanova. So we'll certainly be back on Saturday. I will likely be back tomorrow. TBD if Rex is able to join me on that one. But that's all for today's show. Please go ahead and follow us on Twitter at breakdown_sports. Give us a follow on Instagram at @the_breakdown. And check out our website, as always, breakdownsports.com. Loads of content going up there between NFL, soccer, college football, and then NBA with the season just around the corner. That's all we got for today's episode. Going to go ahead and sign off on behalf of myself, Rex, and the Breakdown Sports. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again later this week.
Yep, catch you later.